Well, welcome back to another episode of TerraFirmaGreg here on the ZetaCraft SMP. And today we're going to start off over here by our rubber fig trees, where we have been collecting some latex from our tree taps in order to be able to make some rubber that we need to be able to move on into the circuits here on the GregTech part of this mod pack. So we're going to go ahead and start collecting some of these barrels and putting them into these lovely steel drums, which make life really easy for carrying large quantities of this back and forth without having to be overburdened the whole time. So let's go ahead and collect up enough to fill up at least one of these steel drums, and I think 2 more barrels should just about do it. And this is probably the last harvest that we get of the latex for the year, because it is currently early autumn and these only produce latex if the temperature is between 4 degrees and 50 degrees C. And as we get closer and closer to winter, it's going to get too cold for the tree taps to produce, which is okay. You know, we're still going to take advantage of the time we have here. That is a steel drum, or 64,000 millibuckets of latex, and we're going to head over to our steel shop to process it. Quick note, in a recent live stream we actually had a poll and determined that the name that we are going to call our spawn town here is actually going to be Valley Forge. And so a huge thank you to all of the members and anyone who was on the live stream that participated in that poll. It was a lot of fun, and we went through all of the name suggestions that everyone had submitted, and that was the one name that won the vote. So that is what we're going to call our spawn town. And also in a recent live stream, Maya Quest and myself built the Steam shop around our Steam equipment here. So if we want to, I'm going to go into free cam real quick to just kind of show off the build for a minute. It's kind of like a lean-to style, using the same color palette as the other industrial buildings here, where we have these hickory borders, blackwood shingles, the stone sides, and the copper windows. But tried adding a few things to make it a little bit different. So we actually have some of the chestnut slabs that you can see here in the original forge, and then we also added these tin alloy bars, which I really like, and I'm going to need to use that more in some of my future builds. I think it's a really nice little addition, but the pattern of those tin alloy bars really match the outside of our Steam equipment, like the vents, so it kind of brought the whole place together. Also, in the TerraFirmaGreg Discord, there was a comment from Bright Waffy that suggested that we decorate using these metal brackets and supports to hold the lanterns, and I thought that was a really clever idea. So thank you for that suggestion. I have gone through and done that all throughout this Steam shop, because I think that really is a unique way to kind of be a holder for these blue steel lamps that have this lava in them, so they will never run out. Now over here in the corner of the Steam shop, I have set up a little oven area with some vats in it, and I've got some rotten lemons in there because I was making some lemon jam. But what we can then do is actually fill each of these. Oh no, screw that up. There must be something in there. Yep, more rotten lemons. Hello? Oh, there's lemon juice in there. That's why I can't empty it. Well, that's probably already rotten. No? Okay. Fair enough. We've now got the latex here in these vats, and the vats can be made super easily. It is just wrought iron plates and some beeswax. Super easy to make, so it was easy to make those up real quick. I need to gather some wood to put on the fire there, and I believe I have a stack of some wood over here. That's all stripped. I don't want to use the stripped lumber. That's too expensive, so we'll go cut down a tree. Not like we don't have plenty of trees in the area that we can work with. That'll work. Come back in. and then we can just line these guys up. And then the last step we need to do, let me empty my inventory real quick. Don't need rotten foods on me. And I've got more sticks than I will ever need, so I don't mind throwing the sticks out at this point. But the last step we need is to actually add sulfur powder to the vats. I believe it's 20 pieces of sulfur powder to the 10,000 millibuckets of latex. And then if I take my flint and steel, light that up, and then shift click to close the vat, that will cook up into vulcanized latex. Now over here we have our vacuum chamber and a basin, and these are all being powered by a water mill underneath the ground. And so once we have the vulcanized latex made up, which should happen pretty quick here, let's go ahead and get a barrel. We will move it. Yep, there it is already. We can then take that out and I can add that into this steel drum, and it's going to pour out through this pump into the basin, and then this vacuum chamber is going to start vacuumizing per se the vulcanized latex and making rubber pulp. And this is the first half of the rubber ingots that we need to make. Once we have the rubber pulp, what we need to do is then take some sulfur dust, and we'll go ahead and take some of that over here and go over to our high pressure alloy smelter. And I've put that pulp in there and the sulfur dust on the side. It's going to combine them together. I believe it's 3 pulp to 1 sulfur dust, and that's going to make our rubber ingots. And based on this ingot pile, you can see I have been making a bunch of rubber ingots, so we have a nice supply of that to get going here. Now, why do we need these rubber ingots? Well, they are a step that we need to be able to make our first circuits here. This is the next big item that we want to create, and that will be the last of the early automation parts of this mod pack before we can move on to the low voltage. So we want to make our first circuits and some electron vacuum tubes to allow us to make each of the various create machines here. Now I know these are all optional quests, but I'm still going to make each one because I know I had said early on in the season I want to do everything I can do in this mod pack. So I think that's what we're going to do next. Now, in order to do the next step for this equipment, the first thing we need to make are some deployers and some depots. And the depots are made with double wrought iron plates and some metal casings, which are actually pretty easy to make. You just put wrought iron plates on a log. We'll go ahead and take some of these wrought iron plates that we've collected, probably make at least 16 of these real quick. And I've just got a bunch of logs on me here, so I think I could just put these in a line and then just go over it with the wrought iron plates. And then the nice thing is with the wrench, I can just shift right click and it instant mines them right back into my inventory. So we'll do that a couple more times and make just a few of these just to make sure that we have them, because I know that a lot of the create things require these, so it's not going to hurt us to have some extra ones. Though it does look like I over clicked on some of those because I've now got plates on this top, but that's okay. They'll just come right back off when I hit it with the shift right click of the wrench. So that's step one. I've got a bunch of metal casings. The next thing I need is actually these ULV machine casings, which just is a wrench surrounded by wrought iron plates. So if I go over to my crafting table here and put my wrench in the middle, put my plates up there, and then if I just balance the grid, I can make, looks like I can make 7 of those with the plates that I have right now. And that is the first steps for these guys. So the depot, the only other thing I need to do is make a bunch of double wrought iron plates, make the depots, and do that. I'm just going to use traditional welding because I don't have this welding packing machine yet. So we'll go ahead, take some of these plates over to our old forge and weld these together real quick. I'll be right back once I have a bunch of double wrought plates. Well, I once again probably overkilled it, and I made about as many double wrought iron plates as I could hold. And I figured, well, even if I don't use them all right now, I will always need them in the future, so why not go ahead and make some extras. Let's go ahead and make a 16 stack of the depots. I don't know if we're going to really need that many, but, you know, I like to overkill things. I like to make more than I need so that I always have it in the future. Once I get into a crafting mode, then I will always have it in the future. So that's what we're doing here. Let's go ahead and grab... I've got some wood on me. I'm going to make another chest here to put the extras in for right now. Just for the intermediate here. And yes, I understand this is the start of another chest monster. But this is temporary, okay? It's not forever, it's just for right now. But now we have our depots. The next thing we need to make are some deployers. And to do this, I need to make an electron tube and some brass hands to go with my ULV machines. I've got 7 of these. But I probably want to make at least 7 brass hands then to go with that. And that's just brass bolts and brass ingots. We can do that pretty quickly. Oh, up. Actually, apparently we already had some brass hands sitting around, so that's convenient. I'm just going to use those. And we also have some electron tubes here. That is super convenient. FYI, the electron tubes are just made with steel bolts, red alloy wire, the treated medium density fiberboard, and the glass tubes. And this is just by the chipboard composite going into our compressor. And the red alloy wire is just taking red alloy plates and some wire cutters. So that's also really easy to make a bunch of. So now that we've got those, let's go ahead and make our brass hands. Or no, I don't need the brass hands. I need deployer. Yeah, so I need a screwdriver and some cogwheels. I think any cogwheels will work. I don't think it has to necessarily be the steel ones or anything like that. Let's go ahead and use our basic ones while we still have those. And we've got some of the steel ones in here. I'd rather use the basic ones up because we're kind of past the point of using those anymore. And a screwdriver. I believe I have that in my chest. No? Uh-oh. Did I lose my screwdriver somewhere? Oh no. No, there's one. I knew I had one around here. Let's go ahead and make as many of these as possible, which is 7. Okay. We got 7 deployers, 16 depots. And also make some rubber belts. But I don't think I need that yet. That's for more automation, if I'm not mistaken. And then to make our first circuit, I need to line this up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the depots. And then 1 spout. How do I make a spout? That is the thing I am missing right now. And that is just a thin rubber sheet and a fluid tank, which is just copper bolts, copper plates, and a glass pane. So we can make those real quick. The rubber sheets, how do we make the rubber sheets out of those? Is that through a rolling machine? A bender, an extruder? How am I supposed to make this if I need it to make the next equipment? Or am I going in the wrong order here? Do I have to make the vacuum tubes first? Yeah, I think that's what I need to do. I was looking at this the wrong order. I have to make the vacuum tubes and this equipment first before we make our first circuit. It's okay. I should have paid attention to the little arrows. That's on me. So let's go ahead and make some vacuum tubes. And to do all this, we are going to set up a little spot behind this building. And this is just temporary until I figure out where I want to put this equipment. But this way I can kind of get this stuff lined up. And then for each of these, we're going to have, nope. I think we can do it like this, and then we'll just wrench them in the correct direction. And then to make our electron tubes, we need steel bolts, copper wires, and glass tubes, and then it gets vacuumized. And I need a resin circuit board, which is just a medium density board and sticky resin. Sticky resin is if I take that latex and wood ash. So I need to collect some wood ash and put it in with the latex that we had started the day with. And I've got some already collected, I believe, but not a lot. Did I put some somewhere else? I feel like I had more of this somewhere. It might be in, oh, there it is. I've got about 32 wood ash, which isn't a crazy amount, but it's more than none. So we'll use that. And that needs to go with just latex itself. So let's go ahead and collect some more latex in another drum from our trees. We've got our latex. Let's go ahead and put that in there. We need to take out the sulfur because we're not making vulcanized latex this time. I guess I'll just do this guy to start, and we'll go ahead and put in the wood ash and put in some logs to fire this guy up. And that shouldn't take too long, I don't think. Go ahead and gather up another drum while we're waiting. Just for moving stuff around. Don't need the stick on me. And that's 10 sticky resin. And so we can do that 2 more times with the amount of latex that we have right now. So we'll do that. Get ourselves 30 sticky resin to be able to make the resin coated circuit boards. Now the chipboard composite is just wood dust and wax, so that is really easy to do. We can go ahead and get some wood dust going by putting some logs in here. And in fact, we've got some hardwood pulp in there. Is that what I need to make wood dust? I guess that's technically interchangeable. I just need to add that to some of the beeswax I've been collecting. Had to do that one more time. Oh, wrong button. There we go. Close that up and get just a little bit more. We'll go ahead and take the hardwood pulp that we've been collecting, add that to some beeswax. Am I doing something wrong here? We gotta put it in a mixing bowl. Oh. Well, that's okay. We'll go to our mixing bowls and mix up a bunch of that. That's gonna probably take a minute, unfortunately, but that's okay. Just go through all of our buildings here to get to where our mixing bowl is set up in the kitchen. Does that make sense, right? Mixing bowl in a kitchen, you would think. All right, mixing bowl, spoon, wax, hardwood pulp. It should be 1, 1, and spin. Ooh. We're gonna be here a while. That I can already tell. I'll be back when I have a bunch more, because this is gonna be a while. Well, that took way too long, but we got there in the end, so that's what matters. And so to use this, we can then compress that into medium density fiberboard, I believe. Yep. And then with the medium density fiberboard and the sticky resins, we can get the resin circuit board. Look at us. We're making progress here. Now that we have a circuit board, we can take our deployers that we need to then power somehow, add a steel bolt, 2 copper wires, and a glass tube to make a vacuum tube. So let's go ahead and we're gonna power these one at a time right now. I think we're just gonna do the one. I think trying to do more than one is getting overly ambitious at this point. Get some scaffolding out so I can work my way up. A little extra scaffolding would be nice. Facing the wrong way. Excellent. There we go. And now we can put the windmill sails. No, not like that. Just like that. And we just need enough to power one piece of equipment for right now. We can obviously make this more efficient in the future. This is just temporary. Right. Trying to deal with inventory. Okay. Got this guy and that guy. And I believe if I get one of those gearboxes, it will just work perfectly. And I think I had one made up already. Steel gearbox. I need it to be a vertical one. Just like that. Boom. Boom. And it's working. It's slow, but it will work. So I could throw that resin circuit. So I could throw that resin circuit board there, and then what I need to do is add a steel bolt, 2 copper wires, and a glass tube. So steel bolt. Do I have any steel bolts around? Steel bolts. The copper wire I'm going to have to probably make with wire cutters and a copper plate. I'm betting. Yep, wire cutters and this copper plate. So let's go ahead and find some copper plates. Where are my wire cutters? There they are. We got those. By now we should have some more of the medium density boards, so we can go ahead, make some extra circuits while we're at it. And then the glass tubes we already had made up in our alloy machine there. So we'll put a steel bolt in first. I understand this is very slow. This is just for the first one. I'll make a more efficient one as we go forward. And then I could take that off. Put on the copper wires. It's going to do that twice. One. It should do it one more time. Yep. It's going back down for a second time. And then glass tube. We got that. And the last step we need to do is vacuumize it. So I should be able to just take this guy and put him in my vacuumizer I already have set up. Just like that. And we have a vacuum tube. Look at that. We are being productive today.